Alright guys, what is going on? Today I'm going to instruct you straight off the bat to go and grab your popcorn, get comfortable, because if you want to watch this video till the end, it's going to be a long one. This might be the longest video I've ever made. I'm not sure yet. We will see. Maybe not. But basically a crazy situation happened to me over the last 2 months, and I wasn't really talking about it at first because, in the words of Donald Trump, it was just too painful to tell. It was a huge shock, and I was just wearing my sunglasses. You guys obviously have been watching the videos. If you're tuning in right now, I was just covering my eyes, and you guys are probably wondering why. I've explained a little bit, but I'm gonna go over the entire story of how I got diagnosed with a super rare form of cancer called rhabdomyosarcoma. And yeah, stay tuned. This is gonna be a pretty interesting video. In my opinion, I would be interested if one of my content creators posted something like this after kind of like just posting about shoes for a while. So, in order to fully understand the insanity of the situation, we have to go back in time a little bit. I'm going to take us back to around May 12th, 2024. I was riding high. I had literally just secured an internship with the New Jersey Homeland Security Department in Trenton. So I had my whole summer set. I was going to start the internship on June 10th. And before that, I had a huge vacation. I was going to Israel, to the Promised Land, for the first time. I've never been. I could not be more excited, and I was just in the best shape of my life. I was literally in the best mindset of my life. I finished my 3rd year of school. 4th year should be a breeze. Everything was looking up, every single thing. And I just got this brand new haircut. I took a kind of a risk. I'm gonna pop a picture up of the haircut. It was like super short, almost like military style. And I have never had hair that short before. That was on May 14th. On May 15th, I departed from Newark Airport on a very, very rainy day. And I flew to Tel Aviv Airport, Ben Gurion. It was a long flight. It was around 10 hours. Maybe even more. I don't remember exactly how long it was, but I made countless friends in the airport. I didn't know a single person on the trip going in. I had friends of friends on the trip. Like if I click on their Instagram, we would have mutuals, but it was nothing to write home about. Like I didn't know anyone on the trip. There was a few guys from my hometown, but they weren't in my year. But I was happy to see that everyone was super chill. Yeah, I landed. There was a bit of a situation in the airport where I ate some airport food and I felt pretty shitty for like the first day of the trip. We also landed at 5 a.m. there, and I was extremely jet lagged because, for those guys that don't know, Israel is 7 hours ahead of New York. So that put me at like 7 hours jet lag basically. And I was not feeling it the first day, but the following 9 days or 10 days or however long it was, I was literally, arrogance, confidence is not the word to describe the mental state that I was in. I was high and mighty, for sure. So, fast forward to about May 26th. I fly into New Jersey about May 26th. I get back to my house. I'm literally ecstatic about the whole trip and what's to come. The summer is looking up to be the best summer of my life. because last summer was kind of boring. I didn't really do much from May to July, and then I had an internship in August that was very inconvenient and not in the best spot, so it was whatever. But this summer I had it all planned out, all was gonna be good, and then doom hit me as hard as it's ever done. I do have cerebral palsy. That was like a situation that happened at birth, for those of you guys who don't know. But I had never in my wildest dreams imagined that what was about to happen ended up happening. I could not believe it. I literally was shocked. So let's get into the story of how I got diagnosed with rhabdomyosarcoma in my left orbital bone behind my eyeball. Let's just jump right into it. So on June 3rd, you guys, I think you guys are really gonna like this. I hope you do, because I've been thinking about doing this video for a very long time. But on June 3rd, 2024, I first noticed that there is something wrong with my left eye. Now, by something wrong, I don't mean like anything like crazy. I just saw that something was off with it. I'm gonna put pictures, they'll always be on this side just to keep it uniform. This is how I looked on June 2nd, June 3rd, same thing, right? But I think this picture is June 2nd. You can see just a little bit of a shrinkage in the left eye compared to the right eye. We thought literally, we were laughing. We thought, oh, this is such a weird thing to have happen. I didn't mention this again until June 5th. I texted one of my friends, hey man, I'm having trouble with my eye. Do you know anything I can do to fix it? He said, oh, maybe you got hot sauce in it, maybe, you know, random nonsense, because no one knew it was this. So, yeah, June 5th, that's what happened. June 6th was my birthday. June 6th was my birthday, for those of you guys who don't know. I had a little bit of a thing, like we went out. The eye was just slightly smaller than it was on June 3rd. I'm gonna pop up another picture right here. So still nothing really crazy going on. June 7th, I went out to Manalapan, New Jersey, which is about an hour from me, and I went out to South Jersey to meet up with my friend whose birthday was on that day. We joke about being twins, and we went out to the bar. I had a pretty bad bar experience. It was my first one. The bouncer was, for some reason, giving me grief. You know how those guys are down the shore, especially. But still, like, nothing was really wrong. I'm gonna put a picture right here. I think it is more obvious in this picture. You guys tell me down below. I see it pretty vividly in this picture that the eye, something is wrong with the eye. So, by now we are going into a bit of a, not panic, but like the onset to panic, because usually random nonsense like this goes away very quickly. Like at one point last year, I slid on the floor and smacked my back, and it hurt really bad for like 2 days. You know, just random happenstance that you know clears out quickly. But this was not clearing out, and it had already been a week. So we found that to be odd, and we started hypothesizing about what this could be. The first thing we jumped to was the fact that it had everything to do with my trip abroad in Israel. We thought it had to be that. There was literally nothing else that it could be. And unfortunately, it wasn't that, but we'll get there. We thought, we had like 3 different theories. One, I slept in a Bedouin tent. I slept on my left side. I thought maybe some sort of bug crawled into my eye and it was now under my eyelid and just making it kind of like shrink up. That was obviously a stupid theory, but again, when these things happen, you usually have no idea what's going on. That's what I've heard from all my friends, honestly. I might get into some other stories later, but let me finish up mine. On June 10th, actually June 9th, I had a huge party. And I actually, right before the party, I was going to the bagel shop and I scuffed one of my rims on my car, which at the time I thought was strange because I've never really done that before. I'm usually a very good driver, and I was like, wow, I'm such an idiot. But looking back at it, it was because I couldn't see. Like, my vision was drastically decreased from just 1 week prior. So that is not a good sign. That's not a good sign. That's not usual. That's not normal. It's not supposed to happen. So on June 10th, I started my internship. I dressed up in a suit, a tie. I went all the way to Hamilton, New Jersey to get my fingerprints done because it's literally an NJ government job. So you need like fingerprints, scans of your retinas, ominously enough. And I did all that. The entire day I was struggling bad. I could not see. I mean, my vision was so bad that I could barely even look at a screen without just completely not being able to see it. And even though it was only the left eye, for whatever reason, it was affecting my entire vision. I don't know if that's because my eyeball wasn't adapted to it, so it didn't know to like prioritize the good eye, which would be the right eye. So I was struggling, but it was more the vision than the look of it, there was no pain. It was just weirdly blurry in my eyes. So as the week went on, I told my parents that something is not right with my eye, like something is actually wrong. Like, we need to go to a doctor right away type situation. So I believe, let me think, June 10th, 11th, 12th, I guess it was the 13th or the 14th, I went to my first doctor. I scheduled one by my college, Rutgers University, and this guy was a complete schmuck. He basically took a look at the eye. He said there's nothing wrong with the eye, and he said that cerebral palsy possibly made one of my nerves go haywire and just shrink the eye. I knew immediately that that was not the case because that's not a thing. Cerebral palsy doesn't suddenly make stuff happen. It's a one-time event and that's it. You don't really get like follow-up effects of it. At least in my case, like nothing ever changes with it. It's just like, that's how it is. So I went to a second doctor the next day, the Friday, I believe June 15th, I think. Maybe the 14th. And no, it was the 14th. June 14th, I went to another doctor near my house, and he said that he suspects a caliasion. What a caliasion is like a thing in my eye. It's like a sty, but it's like a big sty. And he thought that this started in Israel or maybe some sort of thing in the plane, and just put some eye drops in, everything will be fine. So he gave me antibiotic eye drops. He gave me 2 types, one with antibiotics, one just for cleaning it. And that entire week, we were chilling, we were relaxing, everything was fine. We were just putting the eye drops in, but every day the eye was getting worse and worse. Now, Father's Day was a huge turning point in this whole story. My entire family came over and they realized that, my eye, something is not right with my eye. Like, I'm gonna put a picture of what it looked like on that day if I can find one, or the day after, but something was wrong. On June 18th, this was the beginning of the collapse of this entire thing. Once June 18th hit, which ironically is a very substantial date in my history, it's actually my day of my bar mitzvah, so I don't know if that's kind of synchronicity going on, but on June 18th I texted my mom a picture of myself. I'm going to put this picture right here. This was the moment when panic set in. She could not believe the way my eye looked at this point. It looked as if it was now being pushed out of its socket, bulging way out. And my eyes, like if you look at this eye, my eyes are very flat. Like some people have bulgy eyes, I do not have bulgy eyes. My eyes lay very close to the back of my head. So it was very obviously getting pushed out aggressively. So this is when panic set in. The next day I went to work, and then by Thursday or Friday I came home. This was June 21st. Basically it just all went downhill from there on out. I got sent to, I went back to that doctor. He once again told me that he thinks it's the caliazione and he doesn't see any problem. However, this is the turning point. When I showed him a picture of my eye before this whole incident happened, which was literally a month, not even a month ago, and it looked completely normal, he freaked out and sent me to the NYU emergency room. Now, I haven't been to the emergency room in probably 12 years. The last time I went is 2012 when I had a very weird situation happen, but it was nothing like this. It was like some sort of joint pain. It was a big deal, but I would argue that this is probably worse for sure. So I've never had anything like this. June 21st, we go to the NYU ER. I'm very angry because you know how ERs are, they don't treat you that great, and I didn't want to deal with it. Like, I still thought it was literally nothing. I thought it was a cyst, it was a sty, whatever. I just didn't know why the doctor couldn't fix it. But they did a bunch of tests, they did like blood work, everything came back normal. I had zero symptoms except the way the eye looked. At this point, the vision somehow kind of returned to normal, which is weird, but somehow the vision calmed down. Just because I think my eyes and my brain adjusted to literally like only having one eye basically, and it just put a lot of the focus on that eye. I'm not a doctor, I don't know if that's true or not. So June 21st, I had to sleep in the hospital. It was one of the worst experiences of my life. I literally didn't even get a proper bed because they didn't think I had anything. So it was kind of like we were just bothering them. We did a CT scan. We did an MRI. Keep in mind, I've literally never done a medical procedure in my life. So CTs, MRIs, never knew what that was. I was pissed about the CT because it's got radiation in it and I don't want that. The MRI, you know, was fine, but it took forever too. So after the MRI, they came into my room and they told me that this situation is not looking good. I remember the guy who came in and told me this. I think everyone remembers that one guy who tells you that you have cancer. He walks into my room and he just nonchalantly tells me like, yeah, like it's probably malignant tumor, it's probably cancer. I was devastated. Like, I can't even explain to you the way I felt in that moment. I was literally, it's too painful to even think about. That's how bad it is. I remember in the beginning of the conversation, I was like, hey, what's up, man? My name's this, like, just whatever, because I didn't know he was going to give me this news. and then he just dropped this right on my head. And the way he did it, you know, I wouldn't do it like that. He just kind of threw it at me, even though he didn't know what it was either. Like, it wasn't confirmed to be the case, but fortunately he ended up being on the money. So he said it was likely to be lymphoma, which is a form of cancer in the lymph nodes, which obviously is not what it ended up being, but he said that's the most likely outcome. Benign tumors are also a possibility, but less likely because of the speed at which it grew and the damage that it has done so far, which was not much, granted. It didn't touch the optical nerve, and it probably wouldn't for the next few weeks at least, but he told us that we need to do a biopsy right away. Now, if you guys don't know what a biopsy is, it's a big deal. It's basically a surgery in which they remove a piece of the tumor or whatever the growth is and scan it. Like, send it to the pathology labs, do a test on it, and see what it might be. Just make sure no one's calling. Okay, we're good. So they wanted to do this. They wanted to do it on June 24th. Right now it was June 22nd, and they wanted to do it on June 24th. That was the Monday. We were currently on Saturday evening. So I was devastated. I was absolutely shocked. The guy did say that if we wait 2 weeks, which was the next available appointment with the surgeon that was supposed to do the biopsy, we will be fine. Thank God we didn't do that, because we would not have been fine. That would have been detrimental. We scheduled the biopsy for that Monday, and they told us that I literally have to stay there and just sit there for the next 2 days. I had an IV in my arm. I was super uncomfortable with that. For obvious reasons, it's not comfortable. And I had to sit there for the next 48 hours, not knowing if I had cancer or not. On the evening of Monday, June 24th, I didn't eat anything the entire day because I was supposed to be fasting. And I just sat there and waited for my surgery. They took me to the operating room. And right before that, I met the surgeon and I asked her a few questions. And she scared the bejesus out of me, because she said that this is likely serious. And the thing she said that scared me the most was that she would not be able to remove the entire tumor, which up until that point I thought they would just take the whole thing out. We were very pro-surgery because, you know, that's probably the best outcome. If they could just pull it out, the whole thing would not be a huge deal, but they couldn't. She said they couldn't. We'll get back to that. Remember that detail, it's important. So she said the look of the eye will be almost the same, maybe a little bit smaller, except it'll be black and blue now. I'm going to put a picture up on screen of how I looked after that biopsy. If you guys can see, there is a scar above my left eye in the corner. It's hard to see. It's not a huge deal. But, okay, so let's see. That happened. We were forced out of the emergency room the very next morning. NYU kind of dropped the ball on that, in my opinion, because I was in a lot of pain. But they were like, you're good to go. And that entire week, from June 24th all the way to July 3rd, was just a nothing burger. We sat around, we played armchair phenotypes, we tried to figure out what it was. We thought they were crazy, we thought we were crazy. And we didn't know what to do because the pathology reports were not coming back for a week, and July 4th was coming up, which is a big national holiday. That slows everything down. And it just wasn't looking like a disaster. The eye was also getting bigger during that week. We thought maybe that was because of the surgery. We didn't know what it was. So, yes, on July 2nd, 2024, I got a call. My mom got a call from the surgeon and told her that this is cancer. It's rhabdomyosarcoma. It's in the left orbital bone, which we already knew, behind the eye. So it's pushing the eye. I literally could not speak for like the whole day. I was shocked beyond belief. This was July 2nd. We had an appointment with the surgeon to discuss the health of the eye on July 3rd. We went in. It was a horror show. They made us wait for hours and whatever. So on July 5th, we met with an oncologist for the first time, and they told us that we would have to do chemo and radiation, which, for those of you guys who don't know me on a personal level, let me explain something to you. I literally have always been anti-pharma. Like, I've never done any sort of pills. Alright guys, so it is actually the next day because I got tired and yeah, it just didn't work out yesterday. I wasn't able to finish the whole video. That's why I'm wearing a different shirt. But I'm going to jump right in where I left off. We were on July 5th. I had my first appointment with the oncologist over at New York University, or NYU for short. And they told us that it would probably be a combination of chemo and radiation, potentially some surgery to fix the eye. At this point, the eye was starting to look pretty bad. I'm going to see if I have a picture that does some justice, but here it is. After that, we kind of chilled out for a little bit. We went home and we were a bit shocked because of the amount of chemo that they proposed that they wanted to do. I'm just going to tell you guys exactly what the chemo dosages were, just in case anyone's curious or if you have any medical background or anything like that. So they wanted to do 12 weeks of the VACV cycle, which basically means that every third week I would get the heavy dose of VANC, which is vincristine, and then two other chemicals. I don't know the names of them. I know that the A actually starts with a D, and then the C drug is the one that makes your hair fall out, which might be happening soon. We don't know yet. So far, it's holding on real good. I haven't had a single hair loss, but we'll see what happens. And then the 2 weeks following that, they wanted to do the V drug alone. So it would be VACVV for 12 weeks. And then after that, I actually have a sheet right here which does depict exactly what they wanted to do, which is actually what we ended up going with. So from week 13 on, it would just be the V drug until the end, and radiation all throughout. There's two types of radiation. There's photon radiation, which is the general radiation, which is actually pretty bad for you. And then there's proton radiation, which targets the tumor with a beam of light, a pencil beam. It's very new technology and it's not very intrusive. So very interesting right there. And they also said that we might do a surgery around the halfway mark to clean up whatever is left back there. And yeah, we said, oh good, cool. They scheduled me for chemo that Tuesday and we went off on our merry way because we said that we were going to look for some other opinions. Now, this is where stuff started accelerating into extreme rocketeer mode, is what I would call it. So the following Tuesday we had two appointments. That was on July 9th, my brother's birthday, which was a bit of a poopy birthday for him, just because of the chaos that was happening that day. We had two appointments. One was a recommendation from my personal trainer, the one that supplies me with all the shoes. His name, actually I'm not going to get into names. I'm going to keep that confidential. But we had two appointments, one with an eye cancer specialist and one with a rhabdomyosarcoma specialist, which is the thing that I have. So that guy we had extremely high hopes for. We went to the eye cancer specialist first. He gave us a really good outline of like everything to do with the eye itself, and he kind of like talked through how the eye was reacting and why. He kind of gave us a science lesson, but aside from that, he didn't propose any alternative treatment methods. And then the guy that we were really looking for, the rhabdo specialist, he is an absolute genius, by the way. He is the guy that we ended up going with. And he proposed the exact same chemo solution as the first doctors at NYU, the VACVV, until the 13th week, and then switching to a V-only dosage solution with radiation on top. So he did propose one other possibility in which basically there was one thing from NYU pathology that we were still waiting on, which was the differentiation between the embryonal rhabdomyosarcoma and the alveolar rhabdomyosarcoma. The alveolar was substantially worse, and that was the one that they said I had looking at the cells under a microscope. And that would mean 40 weeks of chemo, which is obviously way worse than 24 weeks because the fertility effects go up to 70% instead of a meager 20. 20 probably won't happen, 70 likely will, so that kind of put a scare into us. He went over like all the science behind everything, but he did say that he suspects that I have embryonal rhabdomyosarcoma, which is the less bad version. Now, after that, we went home. We knew what we had to do if we wanted to go with this doctor who was at Memorial Sloan Kettering. I forgot to mention that. That is known to be one of the best cancer centers in the entire world. Now, what ended up happening next was that over the next few days, we were kind of just hanging out, thinking it over, seeing what we needed to do. And then as the weekend came, the entire situation hit its max peak level of badness, I guess, or like the problems got to their peak on Saturday, July 14th. That was when I checked myself into the emergency room at Memorial Sloan Kettering due to the way the eye looked. I'm so sorry to brace you guys, but this picture right here is disgusting. I'm not even gonna lie. That was about 9 days ago from when I'm filming this video. And that was an absolutely terrible look. That is probably the scariest I've ever looked. It definitely is in my whole life. We were terrified. We thought maybe I might lose the eye. Maybe that we wouldn't be able to get through this. That was the pinnacle of the entire problem right there. Right when Trump got shot in the ear, my eye was falling out of its socket. Go figure. But the experts at Memorial Sloan snapped into action, and we needed 3 things before we would be able to start the chemo. We needed a PET scan, a CT scan of the chest, and a MRI of the orbit once again to see if it had grown since the previous MRI, which it did. Just by looking at it, we knew it did. If you guys don't know what a PET scan is, it's a full body scan to see if the cancer is spread anywhere else or if there's anything else of note in any other body parts. That is one of the most important things. Basically, if you have metastatic cancer, it's stage 4 and it's much more serious. Otherwise, if it didn't spread, it's stage 1 and highly treatable. Stage 4 is still treatable, but it's more scary for sure. So, as we were springing into action, on that Saturday I got an ophthalmologist appointment, which was one of the scariest things in my life, which sounds kind of funny, but like they were putting drops in my eye and my eye was so irritated that I was like, basically reeling from pain. I was in extreme pain at this point because I forgot to mention this entirely. By this point, I was in almost excruciating pain because the entire tumor was pushing my eye and basically my whole face. Well, no, but my eye, and it felt like my face was being shoved out of my skull. It's unexplainable. I don't think you guys will ever feel this in your life. It's a very strange feeling, but I was freaking out at that ophthalmologist appointment and everything, but luckily they were able to get me on the chemo that day. Nothing really changed for the next few days. I looked atrocious, but I did get the 3-dose, the V, the A, and the C. So we knew things were coming to a head, because we were told that once the chemo was in, by the end of that week, the eye would look substantially better. And you guys already basically have a spoiler because you see me right now. The eye looks nothing like it looked last week. Then we jumped into one of the craziest weeks of all time. I had to stay in the ER for Sunday and Monday. I don't remember why. I don't remember exactly why that was. I think they wanted to monitor me after the chemo or something. So I stayed in the ER for those 2 days, and I hate staying in the ER. I think those days are behind us, thank God. So then on Tuesday, I had one of the craziest days of this entire thing. I had to sit through a 3-hour MRI in which they not only did a PET scan, but also a scan of the orbit to see if it had shrunk from that previous scan on Saturday. So this was honestly a great day, even though it was a painful day in terms of like I felt like shit. But we found out that not only had it not spread, the cancer is stage 1 and it's embryonal rhabdomyosarcoma, which is the less bad one. So that was a great bunch of news to get. After that, we went home, we relaxed for a day. On Thursday, we had another grueling day. This point was July. Let me pull it back. I'll be able to remember in a second. I think it was the 18th. This day was crazy as well because I had to get the port installed. For those of you guys who don't know what a port is, it's basically so that they can stick the chemo in without sticking it into your vein and causing your vein to potentially collapse. That would be down the line that might happen, but they just don't want to risk it. The port is very low risk, even though it's a surgical procedure and I can't work out till August 9th, which sucks, asshole, but it is what it is. After the port got installed and I got my other dose of vincristine, which was the second chemo, I've been chilling since then. I've just been like living my life, basically. So that is where I'm at. That is how I got diagnosed with rhabdomyosarcoma. If you watched till this point, you're an absolute legend, and I truly do love you so much for that. But I do think it's a really cool story, even though it's really scary, especially during those 2 periods when I got diagnosed and the actual crazy protrusion that ensued. But the worst is behind us. That's why I'm able to tell this story. If my eyes still looked the way it was on July 14th, I would not be able to tell this story. I could not do it. So, thanks so much for watching. I'm trying to think about leaving anything out. Yeah, I think that's pretty much the entire story. They want to keep doing chemo till the end of the year, and then I'll be in the clear. We'll see if that actually goes through. It might not be the case because of how well it's reacting. Hopefully we can get off it sooner. But we're not out of the woods yet. I do think the worst is behind us though. So with that, all that being said, thanks so much again. I really do appreciate it. This is obviously not exactly your normal video that we have on this channel, but I hope you enjoyed it. I did put a lot of brain power into it. So hopefully I'll have this edited and uploaded tomorrow or the next day. And yeah, thanks for watching. Take care, and I'll see you all soon. Peace.